Hi guys, it's Holly here and welcome to the Strong Women podcast. The aim of this podcast is to interview strong women from all walks of life and take key learnings from their personal experiences. Now, by saying strong, I don't exclusively mean strong physically. I'll be talking to women who are strong mentally, emotionally, or simply women who have overcome odds throughout their lives. The key themes in each episode will be around fitness, mental health, and business. I truly hope their stories inspire you and encourage you, and equally I hope you can take away valuable pieces of advice to practice in your own lives. Today's guest is Sylvia Mac, a childbirth survivor, campaigner, and the founder of Love Disfigure. At the age of 3, Sylvia fell into boiling water through an accident at home. She almost lost her life twice, but miraculously survived, being left with 3rd and 4th degree burns to her body. Now aged 50, 2 years ago, she revealed a video on Facebook to share her life with a hidden disability and disfigurement, and received hundreds of positive comments. Spurred on by this, she created Love Disfigure to help raise awareness and show support for those with differences. She continues to campaign and was very successful in calling out brands to become inclusive and diverse by sharing her own campaign on ITV's This Morning and BBC Women's Hour. Sylvia spent so many years hating her body until that lightbulb moment where things changed and she saw herself as a survivor rather than a victim. I love that she now uses her experiences to empower others to embrace their differences and to influence change in the media. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and please do share with someone you think could benefit from Sylvia's message. As always, please do leave us a review if you enjoy the podcast to help others find this podcast too. Hi Sylvia.
Hi Holly.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. So we're doing this podcast over Skype at the moment. Whereabouts are you right now, Sylvia?
I'm at home in
lovely.
London.
Whereabouts in London do you live?
I live in Hackney, London Fields.
Okay, and you've always been in London, haven't you?
Yes, I have, all my life.
Yeah, hence the accent. I placed it well. Okay, so we're going to go straight into your quick fire round. So you know the drill, the first answer that comes into your head. So your favourite book and why?
Oh God, this is difficult because I've literally just forgot the name of the book.
Everyone does the same thing as well.
Oh, I think it's called Savages. I can't remember who it's by. But it was about 3 women, I believe, that ended up being stranded on an island. An amazing book. And I've had it for years, but I just can't remember if that's the actual name of it.
Is it fiction or non-fiction?
It's non-fiction.
Well, at the end, we'll find out what it is and we'll pop it in the show notes.
Yeah.
The best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, to always accept a compliment.
Okay. And have you always lived by that one?
Only over the past 2 years.
Okay. It's difficult, isn't it? I think women are really bad for it. You know, someone will say, oh, your hair looks lovely. And you'll be like, oh, gosh, no, it's just because I've just washed it. I think I'm really bad for that one. Yeah,
I think all my life I've deflected positive comments. And just to be able to embrace a comment and accept it, it just makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, and when you're deflecting it, you're not actually listening to it and absorbing it and putting it in the bank, are you? You just forget it straight away. I think for women as well, it's almost a fear of not wanting to be arrogant, so not wanting to be like, oh, it is lovely, isn't it? You know, it's easier to just completely deny it.
Yes, I think you're right there, absolutely.
What a shame. What is your morning routine, or do you have a morning routine?
My morning routine is I get up at 6 and I take my son to school, even though he's 14. I still take him to school.
He's a lucky lad.
Yeah, but then I go off to swimming. So I like to swim normally early in the morning because there's not many people there. And I like to have my green smoothie. That's really my routine for the morning.
Perfect. So you get your exercise done straight away?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does happiness look like to you?
Oh, happiness is to fulfill your dreams in life.
And who is the person that inspires you most and why?
I think the person that inspires me the most is Sally B. She was the lady that helped set up my video, and she was also the lady that told me to accept compliments. And yeah, she's my inspiration. I love her.
And is Sally B a friend of yours then?
Well, she only became a friend 2 years ago when I was introduced to her via my cousin, and she helped set up this video, which is on my website.
Okay, and we'll actually, I'll put a link through to this video, and we'll talk about it more in a moment as well, because it's perfect. It sums you and your mission up so well. So good old Sally B. Yeah. And the final one, what does strong look like to you?
I think strong looks like just being able to be who you are, live the way that you want to. And, you know, strong doesn't have to be physical, it can be mental. And I think once you can mentally be strong, then everything just falls into place.
Perfect, lovely. So in your own words, Sylvia, would you let everyone know who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name's Sylvia McGregor, but everyone knows me as Sylvia Mac just because growing up I know that my father and my uncles were all called Mac, so it's just an easier short version of my name. I'm also the founder of Love Disfigure, which I set up 2 years ago, and I'm a child burn survivor.
And so tell us a little bit more about Love Disfigure then. So you have your own kind of personal experiences that led you to setting this up, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So let me just let you know that this year I turned 50. Woo. And I know, the big one. So it's literally from being a child burn survivor at the age of 3, spending literally my whole life body hating. So it took the last 2 years was when I think it was like September 2016, I set up Love Disfigure, and it was just to help raise awareness for people with disfigurements. And then it just changed from there, and then then everyone was kind of enrolling, taking part in what Love Disfigure was all about, and it's just grown over the last 2 years.
So do you feel okay to tell us what happened to you personally?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Okay.
So when I was just 3 years old, I was playing around with my siblings, and I think we were playing hide and seek, and I was the youngest of 5 girls. So my sister, who is 2 years older than me, she was looking for me and I was hiding. So I decided I was going to hide in the bathroom, which was the wrong place to hide because my mother had said not to go in there. She'd put a bowl of boiling water, which she'd taken from pots on the stove and poured into the bowl on the floor. And I'd gone in there thinking, oh, great place to hide, as you do, age 3. And I stood behind the door and I had the bowl behind me. I was like oblivious that there was a bowl on the floor behind me. You just don't think of them things when you're that age. And obviously my other sisters cottoned on and said, okay, she must be in the bathroom, pushed the door, and I've gone flying backwards into the boiling water, which caused 3rd and 4th degree burns to my back and other parts of my body.
Gosh. And so was that, I might be being really stupid by asking this, but was this straight to hospital then? What was the kind of recovery from that?
Yeah, it was really crazy, in fact, because I was taken by ambulance to the local hospital, which was literally 5 minutes from my home. And when we arrived, the doctor there said, we don't treat burns, firstly, and secondly, I don't think she's going to survive. So there was nothing really that they could do. And luckily for me, another doctor had walked into the room and said, listen, get the police, to blue light her all the way to Middlesex in Mount Vernon. Well, Mount Vernon Hospital, which is a specialist burns hospital. And that's what they decided to do, luckily for me. And so when I arrived, they put me on life support, and my parents were told I wouldn't survive, and I did.
Gosh. So, yeah, very extreme then. Okay, so then when it comes to somebody being burned, why is it that it does have such an effect on the body? Not just sort of, I guess, that there would be scarring afterwards and that somebody might, have disfigurement afterwards, but why is it that that they were so worried that you wouldn't survive? What does it do to you?
Yeah, I think just because of boiling waters, I've been told, is one of the worst type of burn injuries. And being age 3, you can imagine the skin isn't as strong as it would be with my skin. So for something so, so hot and literally left a hole in my back. That's what I was told by my mum. And so it was the shock and everything that goes with it. The body just shuts down, and I literally could not survive. The survival rate was really low for young children anyway. And I had been given my last rites, and my parents were told that I wouldn't survive the next day. And and I did, but I was on life support a couple of times actually.
Gosh, so you pulled through, but I'd imagine that then follows a lot of treatment and operations. Is that right?
Yeah, I hear people saying, "Oh, I've had lots of surgery," but I remember going to the hospital when I was about 16, and they had to put my file on a trolley and roll it in because it was so thick. Gosh. And I've had hundreds of operations. I can't even say, it's 20 or 50. I know that it's hundreds of operations.
Wow. So did that take you out of school quite a lot?
Yes, it did. So primary school, I only remember being in the last year. And if I did attend the earlier years, I'd go in and they'd let me sleep. You remember, like the nursery beds? They'd let me go to the nursery and sleep on the beds, just because I needed to have rest. And I only remember the last year of primary school, and I found it quite difficult to fit in.
Yeah. So, and because you'd missed out on so much of it.
Yes, yeah. I was given a lot of work to do at home, but it was I just really didn't know how to mix with other children. There was a lot of things I went through, and then moving straight onto secondary was even worse because, I hadn't really spent much time at primary, so it was difficult.
Okay. And then, so talk to us about the scarring that you've been left with then.
Yeah, so I've got 3rd and 4th degree burns over my back, around my tummy, down my left leg, and I've also got other marks on my arms and my legs and my buttocks, which was where they removed skin from my body to layer up onto the big hole that I had on my back. And actually my mum was talking about it the other day, and she said they froze a lot of your skin so that every time you went back, they'd use that skin to put, onto the scarring. So they literally took, the tops of my feet. I think the only place they didn't take skin was off of my face.
Yeah. So
and my chest, luckily.
So you've sort of got the scarring that's caused directly by the burn, but then you've also got scarring from where they've taken skin to move. Yeah,
it's like tiny little pinprick holes all over, like my legs and my arms. So you can see it if you look closely, yeah.
Okay. And then I guess this is probably a tricky question, but how would you say what happened to you has then affected you in your life?
Well, I just feel that it's affected me mentally as well as physically in my life, and just because I didn't know how to come to terms with it. it's okay having a great support system. And a lot of us do, when we have an accident as a young child, parents are great at supporting us, but we're just not very great at accepting it. And I was quite spoiled as well by my family, which didn't help with the other siblings. I don't think they like me very much.
So 5 girls as well. Wow.
Yeah.
So it sort of affects lots of different aspects of your life then, I guess, in different ways at different stages of your life.
Yeah, I had severe depression for many years, low self-esteem, I lacked confidence, anxiety, and one of the big ones that people don't really talk about, but I do, I suffered with paranoia. And to the extent that I'd walk down the road, and if someone's walking past me, maybe a bunch of girls, and they're laughing, I just think, oh my God, they're laughing at me. And I had so many incidents where I remember just a few years ago, in fact, I was at a Zumba class, and there was a group of ladies behind me, and I got on really well with them. And I turned around and I noticed them staring at me and laughing, but they were just wanting me to join in. And I grabbed my stuff and I ran out and ran home, locked myself in the bathroom and was crying for about an hour because I just thought they're laughing at me. I just couldn't, I couldn't stand certain situations, and it was difficult life.
I guess it's completely understandable to worry that might be happening as well. Have you found people's reaction to your scars have been positive, negative? I mean, are people pretty good at thinking about your feelings?
Yeah, I think a mixture really. As a child, children can be quite horrible.
Kids are awful, yeah.
Yeah, and I was a swimmer, and so people would see my scars on the poolside and they'd be really horrible to me. I remember someone saying that I was a witch in a before life and would have been burned at the stake, and really horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't nice back then.
Yeah.
And even sometimes, even when I was like in my 30s, I remember a lady standing behind me with her son talking about my scars, like as if I wasn't there, and it was so horrible. Some people are nice. Some people will ask you and say, oh, sorry, do you mind, like, what happened to you? My brother's got scars, and some people are really nice, and then others can just be horrible. They can stare and be horrible, but it depends. Because I have a bodily disfigurement, I can cover it up, which I've done most of my life when I can get away with it. But covering up doesn't always make it easier.
Yeah.
Just you're covering up the problem then. And, so it just caused me to go downhill.
Okay. And so swimming has always been a big part of your life then? Because I know that you're a huge advocate for swimming, and I love seeing all your posts. It seems like you're doing it. Do you do it every day?
3 times a week at the moment.
Yeah.
But I've got a big swim challenge that I'm putting myself through for the summer next year. But we're making a campaign video, so hopefully it will go out, I think, maybe next year, and before the challenge, and hopefully someone picks up on it. And so basically I'm doing this swim because I was a competitive swimmer when I was quite young. I was very good at swimming, and I was at national standard, both me and my sister. But the only problem was that I held back in competition, so I would never come first, second or third, because I didn't want to be seen to be receiving a medal where people could see my scars, because most of the time you'd be in your costume collecting a medal or a trophy. So I did not want that. So swimming's always been a big part of my life, and I just remember being in the water and always being happy. So I do encourage people to swim. It's great for your mental health. I was part of Swim England's #LoveSwimming campaign recently, promoting mental health and the benefits of swimming. So, it's really good. I love it. I love being in the water.
Hi guys, sorry to interrupt this podcast. I wanted to mention that if you're enjoying this episode, I'd really appreciate a review of it once you've finished listening. You can do this on my website, on SoundCloud, or on iTunes. Furthermore, why not share it with all your friends and your family on social media? Let's spread the strong women ethos as far and wide as possible. Now back to the podcast. I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. It's heaven, isn't it? And it's so accessible and it's relatively cheap. There are pools, that no matter where you live. We used to live in London and we moved further out. We kind of live in the middle of nowhere. But you tend to find no matter where you live, there will be a pool nearby.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm getting involved in outdoor swimming at the moment, so my challenge may end up being a big outdoor swim. So I'm actually meeting some people next week that do outdoor swimming, and I'm going to get in the water and just see how cold it is and if I can bear it.
Yeah. And so you know that you want to do a challenge, but you've not yet decided exactly what you're going to do.
We have some ideas, me and my team. So possibly could be a chance of maybe like the Channel or I don't know, the Thames, something different. But yeah, I want to put myself through that to raise awareness for people with disfigurements and differences, but also to let people know that you can suffer severely with your mental health, as I did, but you can still come out the other end. You can live your life, and I think that's one of my big messages with the swim challenge.
Okay. So for you keep mentioning that it's been sort of the last few years where things have really changed. So over the last couple of years, you've managed to accept compliments, and it was a couple of years ago that you set up Love Disfigure. Why did you set that up?
I set it up because going back to 2016, I was crying every day, locking myself away in my room. And it just got so severe, the crying, and I just thought, I need to do something with my life. I was on the laptop every minute trying to look for help for people that had burns on their body, and there was no help whatsoever. And so I thought, it just occurred to me, and I thought, you know what, if there's no help here for people like us, then maybe I should be the one to change that. So I think it was August 2016, I went on holiday with my mother and my son, and whilst on holiday, I noticed a man was videoing me with his camera phone, and I said to my mum, look, I really don't like this man's videoing me. I don't want to be like the burnt lady on YouTube. Like, I just don't want people laughing at me, and So she said, let's go to the beach. We got down to the beach, and I never wear bikinis, but I had a bikini on with like a wrap dress over the top. And we sat down together, and she kept looking at my scars and touching them, and she was being the mum that she is, just supporting and caring. And so I got up and said to her, okay, I'm just going to go to the water's edge. Do you want to come? She said no. And as I walked down to the water's edge, I turned around halfway, and she had her head hung low. And I just felt a sadness, and I thought, she must be going through this as well, and I don't want her to go through it, because every time I'm feeling upset, she is too. So when I got to the water's edge, I pulled off my wrap dress, threw it down on the floor, turned around and faced her and put my hands on my hips, and I just shouted out, Mum, look at me. And I was smiling at her, and I said, everything's going to be okay. And she was like, oh, okay. And we just had a great holiday after that. But it was like the turning point. It was a moment that I thought, hey, you know what? If you guys here want to film me or take pictures, at least I'm going to be happy and smiling. And that was the main thing for me. And, so that really was the point where I come back off my holiday and approached my cousin Chris, and I said to him, I need to do something about this. There's no help for people like me. And he said, okay, let's make a video. And that's what we did.
Wow. So it was literally as if there was like a switch was flicked, and it sort of got to the point where enough is enough, and I can either continue down this road or I can do something about this. And that's a huge turning point.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the reasons were I've got a grandson, and I just thought, my God, you're a grandmother now and you're still crying, you're still having these down moments. It needs to stop, and I think that helped me a little bit. And so that was the day on holiday in Bulgaria.
Yeah, that you'll never forget.
I'll never forget it.
Oh, and thank God as well. And so talk us through what Love Disfigure is then. So what do you do with it? What's the plan?
Yeah, so what I did with it, I actually put the video onto Facebook and I left it open for comments, and I had so many comments. I couldn't believe it. People that had known me for years did not know that I had scars, and it was amazing. And I just felt so great hearing all those comments. I thought, right, I'm going to start a Facebook group to invite people with scars if they'd like to come and talk, and we can all share our stories and stuff. So I set that up, but then it ended up being that I realised that there's people out there that have skin conditions as well, and health conditions that affect their appearance, and I want to help change that too. So I decided to open it up a little bit more, and I had lots of people, men, women. They was all approaching me, coming to the group, and I had people that had bipolar and suffered with their mental health, and just loads of different people. So in the end, it was a real mix. I've got a real mix of people in the group. It's grown to about, I think, 3.2 thousand.
That's amazing.
Just in the last couple of years. So, it's really good. Everyone comes and talks in there, and I share my pictures and my videos, and just keep letting them know that I'm out there doing stuff, campaigning, which is what I love doing. I love talking about, Love Disfigure and just raising awareness.
I guess it's quite a lonely grief in many ways, because we probably all know someone who might have suffered with burns or, as you said, skin conditions, and we just know them as, Sylvia, who was burnt when she was younger, and we know you, but we forget all of that. Whereas as we're learning now from you, you've got this whole thing going on where you're crying every day, and it doesn't leave you. It's not as simple as it happened when you were young, so you're fine now. So it must be quite a lonely type of grief.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because my sister, who pushed the door that caused the accident, we're actually really close, and she says it so many times to people that she didn't know what I was going through, but she remembers back, and she remembers these times, and she said, she wished she could have helped me. She just didn't realise what I was going through. But together we done BBC Woman's Hour, and it was really lovely for her to open up to see how she felt as well. Because obviously being the person that accidentally caused that, the scar into my body. But it was lovely. It was a lovely moment that we had together.
So Love
and in fact, it's funny because go on.
No, you go.
Later on I went on to BBC Radio London to talk to I can't remember her name, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
And the lady that I spoke to, she said that it was the most inspirational thing that she'd heard on radio, and she'd been working in radio for like 50 years.
Yeah.
And so when we heard that, it was just amazing to hear, and
I guess you're raising the awareness, aren't you? And you're giving other people a platform to start being more open or talking about, how it makes them feel. And I guess you know, you mentioned when you were on holiday that it also made you feel sad seeing your mum, and so I guess people don't necessarily want to talk to their family about it because they don't want to upset their family. So you're all, who do you talk to? So I think it's amazing that you've got this Facebook group now where lots of people can join in and talk to essentially complete strangers, but where you all have similar experience.
Yeah, I mean, recently I did I was part of a runway show, and when I was around the back, somebody come across to me and said, "Oh, there's a lady at the front that wants to talk to you." And when I got out there, she was with her daughter who's got psoriasis. She's got it on her face and her body. And the mum said to me, "Oh, I just wanted to say thank you because you don't know what my daughter was like. She was in a really bad place and you've helped her so much. And I just wanted to personally thank you." And when you get messages like that, it just makes it all worth it. And it's good to hear.
It's good to talk. And so why do you feel, first question, that people with disfigurement are represented well enough in the media? So do we see enough pictures of scars and skin conditions at present?
No, I don't think we're represented enough, and I don't think we're represented properly, in fact. Something that I've noticed is that, especially in films and stuff, you've got people with scarring. Normally they're the baddies, which doesn't help us at all. But no, I'm reaching out to some media companies to just find out why we're not represented, and just to push on that a bit more. In the new year, just because we're not seeing it on our TV screens, and whether it's we don't want to see it, I just feel like people need to be more diverse and inclusive. We need some equality in our lives on our TV screens, and it's just not happening.
And I think that where I have seen an improvement over the last few years is people with disabilities, or people who've maybe had, amputations and sort of quite visual disabilities, I guess. Well, I was talking to a client recently, and we were saying about how Lauren from Strictly Come Dancing, I can't remember her surname, the Paralympian who has sort of some of her arm missing.
Yes.
And she, my client's got 3 daughters, and she was saying that what she found amazing is that not once have her daughters said, "Mummy, why doesn't she have her whole arm?" Like they're completely blind to it, because there are lots more people with disabilities on children's TV now.
Yes.
And I thought that's so amazing that those girls haven't asked that, because children do tend to be very inquisitive and very blunt. So I think we're definitely moving forwards in that direction. But I think you're right. Scars and that sort of burns and things, I don't think I do see as often.
No, it's just not seen. No. And it's funny you talking about disabilities. My daughter, who's 26, she was saying to me that I don't know if you remember that there was a lady who was on children's TV, and she's got half of an arm, so she's like an amputee, and basically there was a big uproar when she was on children's TV, and they said that all the messages were obviously from the parents, and yet it turned out that the children didn't care what they were seeing. It just goes to show that the parents need educating more than the children.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think, kids are, they're being exposed to it more often, and it's talked about, and I think that's amazing. So why do you feel that it's so important that people with burns are represented then in the media?
I just think the more that we see people with scarring or visible differences or on our TV screens, the more we see that, the better for people to be able to accept us in the community. I know so many people that go out on the street every single day and they've got a facial disfigurement and they're laughed at, they're just ridiculed all the time. But if we have people like this on our TV screens and we start to accept it in society, then it just makes it easier on their lives as well. And I just think it's so important, to just have that out there.
Agreed. And I think the first time I found out about you and Love Disfigure was when I saw the incredible photo shoots that you did with lots of other incredible women. So can you talk us through that?
Yes, so January this year, in fact, I did a photo shoot where I asked Swimwear 365, which is a large retail swimwear business, if they would kindly give us some swimwear. And I also approached a photographer called Sylvia Mac to come and take the pictures. And I got the venue for free. Everything was free. It was amazing. I don't know how I did it, how I pulled it together, but I did. And what I did, I tried to balance it. So I had men, children and women, and I made sure that some of them were like body positive coach. They all do something in the communities where they're accepting of their differences or disfigurements. And then the others weren't so, they were a little bit worried, a little bit scared to come and have their photos done. But when they come together, it was like, it was amazing. Like, everyone got on so well, and it encouraged all the others to come out of their shell. So when these photos come out, they were just so just inspirational. Everyone had a smile on their face. And in March, I actually had a launch for the photo shoot. And I was really lucky to have the lovely Sharon Davis there, sports personality, presenter, Olympian. Yeah. So it was really nice. She got up on the stage and she spoke. It was just incredible. It was such a lovely moment, and all the pictures were there and everyone loved it. And so we were really lucky after that, because we ended up with the pictures in the press. We was on ITV This Morning twice, which was amazing. Yeah. It was just great, really, really great.
And we'll put a link through to those pictures as well in the show notes, because you can't not look at them and smile. They are just incredible photos. Everyone looks it's shining out of them. They just look so positive. Yeah. So you can almost see how happy that whole day must have made everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And body positivity is something that you're really passionate about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's only been like in the last year that I've started to post quite regularly on Instagram. And I've noticed that a lot of followers are into the body positive kind of side community. So I've been pulled into that, doing lots of talks and doing some fashion photo shoots. And so, I really like being part of this community, because I've noticed that it's all about embracing your body. And, I'm all about embracing my body. And I think it's great if we can share that with different people with differences, with disabilities, ethnicities, age, it's all in there. And I think it's so important that people get a chance to be able to express themselves. Instagram's great. And I just love being part of the body positive movement. It's something different, but I'm enjoying it.
And you're doing so many different things, like you said, modelling on the catwalk and talking to big groups of people. From a sort of mental health point of view, how do you prepare for these types of things? Because they must be pushing you out of your comfort zone quite a lot. Yeah,
it's funny because I don't prepare. I'm one of these people that just go head on and just do it. I think I've got to the point where, some people say to me, "Oh, you're a thriver, you're not a survivor." And I think actually I am. Like, I really am thriving. And it's funny because all my life I've felt like a victim, and I've always thought that I was a Burns victim. And then in that first year where I was kind of networking, going out, meeting lots of people, I was becoming a survivor. I started to survive. But now I'm thriving, and I just want to go and do everything. And and I love it. Like, so I don't even think about what I'm doing. I just go and do it.
Good.
And it normally works out really well.
Yeah, just jump head in and see how it goes.
Yeah,
I think
that's it.
It's almost interesting, like seeing the change in mindset for you as well. Like you said, that's literally what's happened for you. Originally, it's, you felt like a victim and then a survivor and a thriver now. And it's that change in mindset that now means that you're throwing yourself into all these incredible events, and the more of them you do, I'm sure the more it motivates you.
Yeah, and it's just growing. It's crazy. I mean, I've got so many projects going on at the moment. Like, I don't even sit down and plan it out. I'm literally like, okay, I'm doing this, that. Oh, yes, and then I'm doing that. Oh, yes, and I'm doing that. And I keep going back thinking, oh, right, I need to write these things down because I'm doing so much at the moment. But it's amazing. Before, I was sharing my journey so everyone could see what I was doing. But now I don't share it until I've actually done it. Just because I've had a few little blips rather, where, for example, Facebook were going to do a video of the Love Disfigure group, and we went through the motions of them meeting us and filming us, and it was literally pulled out at the last minute. So when you go through that, you have to deal with it. And then everyone's asking what happened to the video, and it's like, oh no. So now I hold back and I wait until we've actually done it, and then I go, okay.
That's good advice. Good advice. Yeah. So, Sylvia, if anyone's listening to this who is sort of where you were maybe 20 years ago, so personally has disfigurement and is struggling slightly, what would your advice be?
I'd say to them that just remember there are organisations out there, there's wonderful charities out there. There are so many. There's Disfigurement, there's the skin conditions. You've got wonderful changing faces that they help support loads of people with differences and disfigurements, and they also have like support groups. There's a lot of support groups going on out there at the moment, which is great. And there's also a lot of really good people that encourage you to embrace your body online. And I know that it works, and I know that it works because I have messages coming through to me literally, whether it's like 2-3 a day, like from people that have lived their whole life body hating like I did, and then saying to me, hey, thank you, like I'm great now, I'm wearing a bikini, or it's, you've changed my life. Like, and so when I hear that, it just goes to show that you can help make a difference online. It's not all, negative. There's a lot of like positive stuff out there, and a lot of really good people that can help you. So yeah, definitely like don't worry. There's plenty of people out on social media that are there to help.
Yeah, and also you're so much more than your body. You have so much more to give than just the body that you're in.
Absolutely. Our body is a shell, and it carries us through our life. So we should show it respect, but at the same time, it's what's on the inside. Is really important. There's so many people out there that they might be the so-called perfect bodies, or have the so-called perfect bodies, and just not be a really nice person.
Yeah, exactly. No, you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah, exactly. People don't hang out with you because you've got the perfect body. They hang out with you because of how you make them feel and how wonderful you are. So if people want to follow you on Instagram, Sylvia, just let us know what your handle is.
Okay, it's love_disfigure.
Yeah, and you're on Twitter as well. I see you a lot on Twitter.
Yeah, and that's at Love Disfigure.
Perfect. And the website?
The website is lovedisfigure.com.
Easy, perfect. That's very simple. Thank you so much for all of your insight, and for being so honest as well about a topic that I'm sure is quite tricky at times to talk about. And I hope that anyone listening has found it useful, or if you know someone who you think might find it useful, please do share it. And Sylvia, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, thanks very much, and you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong Women podcast. If you have any feedback on today's topic or your own advice, please do let us know on social media or leave us a review on iTunes or SoundCloud. Did you know we also have an online plan that incorporates all the elements I believe create a strong, healthy, happy body? The Model Method Online is an 8-week holistic fitness plan incorporating mental health and nutrition support. Born from a frustration that all online plans are weight loss or aesthetic based, our online plan aims to improve the relationship that you have with your body. Go and try it for free now. The link is in the show notes, and stay strong.